Breaking news. The Supreme Court has denied Donald Trump's request to halt his sentencing, marking a pivotal moment in his legal battles. On January 9, 2025, the United States Supreme Court delivered a key ruling, denying Donald Trump's request to stay his criminal sentence in New York. The decision, rendered by a narrow 5-4 majority, saw some right-wing justices aligning with their liberal counterparts, signaling a significant moment in the judicial landscape. Justices John Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett joined forces with Ketanji Brown Jackson, Sonia Sotomayor, and Elena Kagan, emphasizing a commitment to uphold the rule of law, even across political affiliations. This ruling signifies that Trump's legal maneuvers to avoid accountability have failed, marking him as a convicted felon under the law as he prepares for sentencing on 34 felony counts. It underscores the seriousness of his actions and the potential impact on his political future. The decision also highlights the broader context of judicial independence, where the court prioritizes legal principles over partisan interests. This moment stands in stark contrast to the current administration, led by President Biden and Vice President Harris, who have consistently advocated for justice and leadership, reinforcing the notion that no individual is above the law. Trump's conviction on 34 felony counts is a historic milestone in American politics, making him the first former president to face such severe legal consequences. These charges arise from alleged hush money payments made during the 2016 election campaign to silence damaging allegations that could have influenced voter sentiment. The unanimous jury's decision underscores the gravity of Trump's actions, which many view as an abuse of power and a violation of democratic principles. As Trump approaches sentencing, he faces not only potential prison time, but also long-lasting repercussions for his political career. This conviction serves as a critical reminder of the importance of accountability in leadership and governance. In contrast, President Biden and Vice President Harris emphasized the necessity of transparency and ethical conduct among public officials. Their administration seeks to restore faith in governmental institutions, highlighting that all individuals must adhere to the same legal standards, regardless of their status or influence. As this chapter unfolds in Trump's saga, it raises essential questions about the future of American democracy and the expectations placed upon its leaders. The recent ruling by the Supreme Court illustrates a fascinating shift in judicial dynamics, where traditionally conservative justices allied with liberal counterparts to deny Trump's appeal. This unexpected coalition indicates a growing recognition among justices of the need for independence from political pressures and underscores their commitment to upholding democratic values. The decision signals that Trump's attempts to manipulate legal interpretations for personal gain, particularly through claims of presidential immunity, will not be tolerated by the judiciary. By siding with liberal justices like Ketanji Brown Jackson and Sonia Sotomayor, Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett have demonstrated a willingness to prioritize legal integrity over partisan loyalty. This ruling may mark a turning point where the judiciary reasserts its role as a check on executive power, reinforcing principles that President Biden and Vice President Harris advocate for: transparency in governance. As legal scholars analyze this decision's implications, it becomes evident that the Supreme Court is prepared to confront any attempts by Trump or others to undermine democratic norms through legal loopholes. Trump's legal arguments throughout this process have revolved around claims of presidential immunity and procedural violations during his trial. He has asserted that as a former president, he should be shielded from criminal prosecution related to actions taken while in office. However, these assertions have been met with skepticism by both lower courts and now the Supreme Court. The justices dismissed his emergency application to stop sentencing, indicating that such claims lack merit. In this context, his failure to persuade the Supreme Court highlights the judiciary's commitment to upholding justice without regard for political status or influence. In stark contrast, Biden and Harris emphasize adherence to the rule of law as fundamental for the health of democracy. They advocate for reforms, ensuring all individuals are subject to equal legal standards, reinforcing that no one is above accountability, an essential principle that stands in direct opposition to Trump's approach. As Donald Trump approaches his sentencing hearing, scheduled for January 10, 2025, expectations are high regarding its potential impact on his future and political aspirations. Legal experts predict that undoubtedly, this will shape not only Trump's legacy, but also the broader narrative surrounding ethics in American politics and governance. The public and political reactions to the Supreme Court's decision to deny Donald Trump's request for a stay on his sentencing have been overwhelmingly significant. Many Americans view this ruling as a crucial step, reflecting a growing sentiment that no individual, regardless of their status, should evade justice. Social media platforms erupted with discussions as supporters and opponents of Trump weighed in on the implications of his conviction. For many, this moment represents a turning point in American politics, where the judiciary asserts its independence from political influence. Political figures from both sides of the aisle have expressed their views, with Democrats largely celebrating the ruling as a victory for democracy and the rule of law. Conversely, some Republicans have rallied around Trump, framing the decision as politically motivated persecution. This divide highlights the ongoing polarization within American politics. President Biden and Vice President Harris have remained focused on restoring faith in democratic institutions, emphasizing that accountability is essential for a healthy democracy. Their administration's commitment to justice stands in stark contrast to Trump's repeated attempts to manipulate legal frameworks for personal gain. As reactions continue to unfold, this ruling could shape public opinion and influence future political dynamics in profound ways. In light of the Supreme Court's ruling against Donald Trump, President Biden and Vice President Harris have reiterated their commitment to upholding the rule of law within government. They view this decision as a reinforcement of democratic principles that are vital for maintaining public trust in institutions. Biden stated that no one is above the law, emphasizing the importance of transparency and ethical conduct among leaders. The administration's response contrasts sharply with Trump's approach, which has often involved attempts to evade legal scrutiny through various tactics, including claims of presidential immunity. Biden and Harris's unified stance serves not only to reaffirm their dedication to justice, but also to signal to the American public that they are actively working towards restoring integrity in governance. Their leadership style emphasizes collaboration and respect for legal processes. As Trump prepares for sentencing, Biden and Harris's responses may resonate with voters who are increasingly concerned about ethical leadership in politics. This moment could further solidify their positions as advocates for justice and democratic values. In a time marked by significant political upheaval, Trump's conviction on 34 felony counts marks a historic moment in American political history, drawing comparisons to previous presidents who face legal challenges. The case echoes instances like Richard Nixon, who resigned amid the Watergate scandal, but ultimately evaded criminal prosecution due to presidential pardons. Unlike Nixon's situation, Trump's legal battles are unfolding in real time, with significant implications for his political future. Another notable comparison is Bill Clinton, who faced impeachment proceedings related to perjury and obstruction of justice, but was acquitted by the Senate. These historical precedents highlight how American leaders have navigated legal crises while attempting to maintain their political careers. Trump's situation is particularly unique due to the unprecedented nature of being a former president facing felony charges while actively seeking political power again. This context raises critical questions about the integrity of democratic institutions. As President Biden and Vice President Harris advocate for transparency and ethical governance, they draw upon these historical lessons to emphasize that accountability must prevail over partisan loyalty. The outcomes of Trump's legal battles could set new standards for how future leaders are held accountable for their actions while in office. The implications of Trump's conviction extend far beyond his immediate legal troubles. They significantly impact future elections in America. As Trump faces sentencing, his status as a convicted felon raises questions about his viability as a candidate for future office. This development could deter potential supporters who may be concerned about aligning themselves with a figure embroiled in serious legal issues. Furthermore, Trump's conviction may energize opposition voters who see this as an opportunity to challenge his influence within the Republican Party and beyond. The landscape of American politics is shifting as voters increasingly demand accountability from their leaders, making it essential for candidates to demonstrate ethical behavior and transparency. President Biden and Vice President Harris are likely to leverage this moment to reinforce